I'm 88 years old. My daughter drove me here 3 years ago to look at the place. She has not walked through that door since. 3 years. 1,096 days. I counted at first. Then I stopped counting, because a man who counts days he's not being visited is a man building his own coffin. If you're watching this, I bet you know somebody who's waiting. Maybe it's your neighbor across the fence. Maybe it's your mother in a place like this one, and you keep meaning to go. Maybe it's you, sitting in a chair by a window, listening for a car door that never slams. My name is Walter Nagy, small town, Ohio, 40 minutes from the Pennsylvania line, the kind of town where the plant used to run 3 shifts, and now the plant doesn't run at all. I put 42 years into that plant, 42 years of second shifts and overtime and Christmases where I came home smelling like machine oil. I raised a daughter on that plant, bought a house on that plant, buried a wife with what was left of the pension that plant paid me. Her name was Margaret. Maggie. 3 years and 3 months ago I buried her. She went in the kitchen, right there by the sink. Cabinet door still open where she'd been reaching for the sugar. 3 months after we put her in the ground, my daughter Karen came over with coffee cake from Kroger. She sat down across the table from me, in Maggie's chair. She said, "Dad, we should just go look at a couple of places, just to see." I said, "Look at what?" She said, "Places. For you. Just in case." Just in case. That's the phrase she used. Just in case my knees gave out. Just in case I fell in the shower. Just in case Karen's life got too full to include me. She didn't say that last one. She didn't have to. Have you ever heard the words "just in case" and known, deep down, that the case was already decided? Do you remember the exact moment you understood your child had made up their mind about you? Not the fight. The quiet part before the fight, when they've already picked the paint color for the room they're going to put you in. Do you look at the calendar on your fridge and count the months since you saw your grandkids? Do you check your phone before bed and know you're checking it for nothing? Do you rehearse what you'd say if she called, and then feel foolish for rehearsing? I want to talk to you tonight about the phone that stopped ringing, about the daughter I raised who does not know me anymore, about 3 years in a place I did not choose, and about the strange, terrible, honest freedom that comes after you finally stop waiting. I'm going to tell you what I understood at 87 years old. I'm going to tell you why I think it saved me. But you'll have to sit with me a while. That first visit to Sunset Meadows was on a Wednesday, October. Rain on the windshield. Karen had on a beige raincoat I didn't recognize. She had never worn beige when she lived in my house. Beige was her mother-in-law's color, and Karen used to make fun of it. The director was a woman named Miss Alvarez, very kind, very tired. Big binder in her arms with laminated pages. She walked us through the common room, the dining hall, the little chapel with fake pews, and one of the rooms that was empty because the last occupant had, in her words, graduated. That's what they call it here. When you die, you graduate. I remember standing in that empty room, beige carpet, one window looking out at a courtyard with a crooked bench, and Karen said from the hallway behind me, "Dad, this one gets good light." Good light. That was the pitch. Good light in a room where somebody had just died. We got in the car after. Karen started the engine. Then she sat there, staring at the steering wheel. She said, "Dad, I already put a deposit down. I did it last week. I need you to say yes." That was it. That was the conversation. I did not go home. I mean, I did, for 4 days, to pack. Karen came with me. She packed most of it. Half my life she put in a plastic tote and labeled Dad, memory box. The other half she gave to Goodwill, and I did not stop her because I did not have the words to stop her. Grief takes your words. You get them back later. By the time you get them back, the moving truck is gone. The room they gave me faces the inner courtyard. I mentioned that bench, the crooked one. Somebody planted it wrong 40 years ago, and nobody's fixed it since. I look at that bench every morning while I drink my coffee. There's a squirrel who sits on it. He does not care if my daughter visits me. He is the most consistent thing in my life. My grandkids are named Tyler, Madison, and Connor. Tyler is 26, Madison is 23, Connor just turned 19. I have not spoken to any of them since I moved in. For a year, I made excuses for them. Tyler works long hours. Madison's in nursing school in Cincinnati. Connor's just a kid. He doesn't know how to call a nursing home. He doesn't know what to say. And Karen, well, Karen has her own life. Dennis, their business, the house they built out in Medina. I made those excuses out loud to a nurse named Rosa, who used to just nod and say nothing. Rosa is 51 years old, from the Philippines, works 3 to 11, husband drives a truck out of Youngstown. Rosa was the one who finally said to me one night in November, my second November here, she said, "Mr. Nagy, you are a good man, but you are drowning." I said, "I'm not drowning, Rosa. I'm just tired." She said, "Same thing." I want to come back to Rosa. She matters more than you think. The first year I was here, I thought this was a story about my daughter, about what she did, about how she couldn't handle me after her mother died, and how she used her mother's death as the door she walked me out of. I sat in this chair, and I built the case against her in my head. I was the prosecutor and the judge and the jury. I convicted her 100 times. The second year, I started to wonder if I was the one on trial. I'll get to that, but first I need to tell you about Frank. Frank Delaney is 90 years old. He lives 4 doors down. Never married. 2 rooms down from the vending machine that eats your quarters. Frank came to Sunset Meadows the same year I did. He came under his own power, signed his own paperwork, walked in with 1 suitcase and a canvas bag full of paperback westerns, and said to the woman at the desk, "I'm here. Where do I sleep?" Frank is the happiest man I know. I don't understand it. I've watched him for 3 years trying to figure out what he's got that I don't. He has no children, no wife. His sister died in 1994. He plays euchre on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He reads Louis L'Amour paperbacks with the covers falling off. He eats every meal in the dining room, and he tells a joke he stole from Bob Hope every single lunch. And every single lunch, 3 people laugh like it's the first time. I said to Frank one day, "Frank, how are you not miserable?" He looked at me over his mashed potatoes. He said, "Walter, I stopped waiting for anybody a long time ago. It clears up a lot of your day." I did not understand him then. I understand him now. But it took 2 years and a stroke. Not my stroke, Frank's. Small one. He came back to us 3 weeks later, dragging his left foot a little, and when I sat down next to him at breakfast on the day he got back, he said, "Walter, I could not care less if my leg drags. I am back at this table." I thought, my God, what am I still waiting for? Let me tell you about Ethan, because I owe you Ethan. Ethan is 17. He's a junior at the high school in Girard. He started coming here on Wednesday afternoons last spring for volunteer hours he needs for graduation. Skinny kid. Bad haircut. Sneakers with the laces untied. The first Wednesday he came, they assigned him to me, because I don't refuse company. I don't refuse anybody, really. He sat down in the visitor chair and he said, "I'm supposed to read to you." I said, "What have you got?" He held up a paperback, Great Expectations, school book. He said, "I hate this one." I said, "Read it anyway." He read for 40 minutes. Terrible reader. Stumbled on every third word. But he read. And when his hour was up, he said, "Same time next Wednesday, Mr. Nagy." I said, "Same time." He has come every Wednesday for 11 months. He does not have to anymore. He got his hours a long time ago. He still comes. He brings his own books now. He brings coffee sometimes. Bad coffee from the gas station, but coffee. Last month he brought me a paperback Western because Frank told him I might like one. Ethan is not my grandson. But on Wednesday afternoons, in a room facing a courtyard with a crooked bench, a boy who owes me nothing sits with me for an hour. And I have started to understand something about family that I did not understand for the first 85 years of my life. Somebody set this camera up for me. Not Ethan. His girlfriend, Marlene. She works at the drugstore in Warren, and she's studying communications at the community college. She said, "Mr. Nagy, if you talk, I'll film it." She said, "There are a lot of people out there who need to hear an old man tell the truth." I don't know if that's true. I hope some of it's true. If you're still with me, if what I'm saying sounds like your kitchen too, do me one favor. Tap the little button. Not for me, for Marlene. She'll be tickled. It means she'll come back out here with the camera, and I've got more to say. Now sit tight. I have not gotten to the part I have to tell you. I said the second year I started wondering if I was the one on trial. I meant that. Here's what I had to look at. Maggie handled Karen. Maggie handled all of it. Karen's report cards, Karen's school plays, Karen's boyfriend in the 10th grade who slept in the basement one weekend when we should have said no. Maggie called Karen every Sunday for 31 years. I would say hello when she handed me the phone. 60 seconds. That was my Sunday call. I worked second shift for 18 of those 31 years. I came home when my daughter was asleep. I ate cold meatloaf standing at the counter. I told myself I was providing, and I was. But providing is not the same as being present, and there is no pension in the world that closes that gap. When Maggie died, the calls stopped. Not because Karen stopped loving me, because Karen did not know me. Karen knew her mother. She had a route to me through her mother, and when her mother went, the road washed out. I did not build my own road. In 62 years of being a father, I did not build a single road that did not go through Maggie. That is not a defense of what Karen did. What Karen did was cold, and it was cowardly, and she will have to answer for it to herself one day, probably at a kitchen table she does not want to sit at. But it is the truth about me, and you can't fix the truth about yourself by getting mad at somebody else. I cried in this chair. I want to tell you that. It was the January of my second year here, my birthday. I turned 87. Nobody came. The kitchen sent up a small piece of yellow cake with one candle and a paper napkin. Rosa was on that shift. She stood in my doorway and she sang Happy Birthday all the way through, in the accent she brought from Manila. And when she got to my name in the song, she said, "Mr. Walter." I said, "Thank you." She left. I sat with the cake for a long time. I did not eat it. I put my head down on the tray table, and I cried like I have not cried since Maggie's grave was still fresh dirt. I want you to know what I was crying for. It was not for Karen. It was not for Tyler or Madison or Connor. It was for me. For the man who spent 42 years in an auto plant and did not know his own daughter's favorite color. For the husband who let his wife carry all the love in the marriage and called it partnership. For the father who mistook a paycheck for a relationship. I cried because I was going to die in a room facing a courtyard, and I could not blame anybody but the choices I had made when I was 35 and 40 and 50 and thought I had all the time in the world. That was the bottom. That was the January. Something changed after that. Here is what I want to say to you. I want to say it plainly because I have not got time for pretty language anymore. If you are watching this and there is somebody in your life you have not called, a father, a mother, an aunt who put a birthday card in the mail for 30 years and got nothing back, call them today. Not tomorrow, today. Because I promise you, wherever they are looking at a phone that has not lit up. But if you are watching this, and you are the one being not called, if you are the mother in the recliner, the father by the window, the grandfather at Sunset Meadows or somewhere just like it, I have something else for you. It is the harder thing. Stop waiting. I do not mean give up on them. I mean stop waiting for your life to start again when they show up. Because they may not show up. And if they do, they will be 40 minutes on a Sunday, and then they will be gone. And if the whole rest of your week is built on those 40 minutes, then the whole rest of your week is empty. I stopped waiting sometime last spring. I don't know the exact day. I know Frank asked me to sit in on the Euchre game because they needed a fourth. I know I said yes because I had nothing to do and everything to prove. I know I lost 8 hands in a row, and Frank laughed, and he said, "Walter, you are a very bad card player, but you are here, and that is the thing." That is the thing. I have built a small life here. It is not the life I wanted, it is the life I have. I get up at 6. I make instant coffee in the little kitchen at the end of the hall because it is not as good as the dining room coffee, but it is mine, and I made it. I look out at the courtyard. I say good morning to the squirrel. I say good morning to Maggie because I know where she is, and I know she is listening. Wednesdays, Ethan comes. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I lose at Euchre. Sundays, there is a service in the little chapel with the fake pews, and I go, because a room full of people singing is a room full of people. And at 88, you take the room full of people any way you can get it. Rosa's shift ends at 11, and some nights, when I can't sleep, I sit up and wait for the sound of her card in the hall so I can say goodnight to her. Not because I need anything, because it is nice to say goodnight to somebody by name. Karen might call, she might not. Tyler, Madison, Connor might grow up one day and remember they had a grandfather. They might not. I have written a letter to each of them. Rosa knows where the letters are. When I graduate, that's the word they use, the letters will go out. That will be my last word to them, and I will not be here to hear their answer. And that is all right, because the answer is not what mattered. What mattered is I got old enough and honest enough to write the letters. Tomorrow morning I will get up at 6. I will make my instant coffee. I will sit in this chair by the window and I will watch the sun come up over the low brick wall on the east side of the courtyard. The squirrel will be there or he will not. If it is Wednesday, Ethan will come at 3 with a bad paperback and worse coffee. If it is Tuesday, I will lose at Euchre, and Frank will laugh, and I will laugh too, because there is a version of me that never learned to laugh in a room full of strangers, and that version of me is finally gone. If it is Sunday, I will go to the chapel. I will sing along even though I cannot carry a tune, because Maggie used to nudge me in the pew when I stayed quiet, and I still hear that nudge. And if the phone rings, I will answer it. I will not be sitting by it. I will be at the euchre table, or in the chapel, or in the visitor chair, laughing at something Frank stole from Bob Hope in 1972.